Hey, how everybody doing tonight? We back. Breaking the mental change. ADOS is in the building. In the building. Um, I want to make sure if you watching this on YouTube, you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button. Um, please share. More shares, the better. Um, we gonna, as you see, the name of the show tonight is the is it's dead bodies, economic genocides. But who made the collard greens? Who made the collard greens? Um, that concept get talked a lot about in our group a lot of times, and I wanted to bring it up tonight. Um, I wanted to bring it up because the simple fact, a lot of times that's what we don't talk about the way we carry on about death, the way we carry on about the economic collapse of our group, and how no matter what, we want to know who made them collard greens. I always call it's we very quick to turn off our pain for a good time. We turn on the pain, we turn on a good time. So it's like we move, things may hurt, but we can recover as black people, ADOS people in this country. A lot of times we'll take that pain, stick it way down inside, and we'll go back to having a good time. Um, I think we got to realize that when you're in the midst of a war, Yvette said this one time, and it stuck with me. Yvette made a statement saying you cannot want peace. You cannot want peace so bad that you don't understand when you're in a war. And I had my little girl. Well, I had my little girl. My little girl was reading. She went. My fiance took her to the library to pick up trying to get some black books to try to read to her. And she said in the book she noticed that they talked about how in Martin Luther King time they sent a lot of kids to go do protests. And she made the conclusion. She said, "Why don't they do that now? We don't do that with our kids. We don't put our kids on the front line." See, if you don't believe in your group enough that your kids should be involved with your fight, obviously you don't believe in the fight you're fighting for. So our kids got to be involved with this fight. You got to sit them down and educate them too. If you are an educator out there and you teach kids, you got to push back in those spaces when you see things that ain't right with the education, with the information that's being given to our kids. We got to push back at all levels. It's got to be pushed back at all levels. I was in a meeting the other day, and in the meeting I was in, their mission statement was putting black folks first for a change. Yet they came with the sum up, to highlight what they was gonna do. They turned it into a everybody. They wanted it to be about everybody. And I got told in the meeting that we can't do it without saying we going they won't donate to us unless we say we're gonna do it for everybody. I said, well, over here, ADOS, that ain't how we rock. We doing it for American descendants of slavery. We doing it for our granddaddies, our great grandmas, our descendants of slavery, because we must know and understand that we knocked down the door for immigration, and now the plate is served, and the only one getting to eat the collard greens are immigrants, while we fix the meal, and we still got to wait to eat last. It's a point that we got to get to, that we get very self-interested for our group. Just it's got to happen. It's without a shadow of a doubt, we got to make this happen. We got to get for our group. We got to build a plate, make the plate, fix the plate, and it got to be for us. Plain and simple. Because understand, if you don't care about your group, nobody else is gonna do it. They'll keep using you like the mule. And if somebody you go to, you looking for help from that person, just accept that person ain't really looking for no uplift for you. They could care less. So if they could care less, why are you upset? Just accept they're not a friend or foe and move on. Because it's no need in thinking you're gonna work something with somebody that already clearly done told you, I don't care about your situation. It's not mine. You know, um, I'm gonna read an article tonight, and this article is an article the Washington Post did on Malcolm X's daughter. Um, Before I do the article, I want to state one more thing this week that's happened today. They passed the Asians got a law passed for them. They also got money. With that being said, if anybody saw what did the Asians reach back and say people of color need to be involved with this bill? When the Asians got that money, they said, no, we don't want the money unless ADOS black people get the money too. Did they do that? Oh, so you telling me the Asians didn't say everybody got to benefit from this? The Asians didn't do that. The Asians didn't say everybody got to benefit from this. So why in the world would we be running around everything we do? You got Al Sharpton talking about anti-Asian. Everybody. You got William Barber running around. Everybody. See, all these black leaders running around, the NAWCP hollering everybody. You got all these leaders running around doing it. Yet nobody else is doing that. We seeing it every day. I need my people to see and accept what they see. Stop accepting the disillusion that you want to tell yourself. Accept what you see. Accept how people are moving, and you move accordingly for your group. It's plain and simple. Um, if we could get this understanding, we can move forward. Exactly. Asians focus on Asian issues. That's just how it goes. And we're going to have to become the same way. We're going to have to just focus on our issues. And any leader, I don't care how much you think you got respect for. I don't care if it's net that Lady Turner that a lot of people keep hollering about. They doing the same thing. She over there doing the same thing. Her and Precious the other day made a statement. Yeah, I think they need to give all black people free mental health service. That should be our That's what they said. It should be our reparation. Precious, that's married to a white man, said this about her own people. They need free. Let me tell you who need the free mental health. You and Miss Turner need that free mental health. Y'all the ones need it. Because when you sit around and you try to tell me that that when every issue that America has faced, they throw money at it. And they throw money at it until they fixed it. That's the same thing got to happen for us. If we got a mental condition, it's because of what this oppression, this systematic oppression that we done dealt with right here in America. You idiots. See? So if you're going to fix it, you're going to have to throw just as much money into it until we fix. I don't care if it takes 400 years. You're going to have to keep pumping money into it till you fix it. Plain and simple. And if Turner and Precious are too scared to say that to white folks, you in the wrong space. Go be with them. Go get over there with them and stop thinking you speaking for us. You don't speak for us. You see, ADOS speak for us. We got Tone and Yvette. They stay on their square. These people stay on their square. They let nobody take them off of it. Here, breaking the mental chain, we ain't gonna let nobody take us off our square. Fight Pacific. We Pacific with what we shooting for. We Pacific with who we fight for. We fight for the American descendant of slavery. We don't care if you don't like that. See, I'd rather know where you stand than where you don't stand. As Johnny say here in the chat, the BIPOC coalition gets missing when other groups get something. But when ADOS gets something, they come looking for their cut. Ain't that something? That's how it goes. It's like, hey, there go the kid I can pick on, ADOS. Whenever they get something, we're gonna go over there and take theirs. But they better not come over here and mess with mine. So it's like constantly the ADOS group is constantly being bullied because we are the group that fillet ourselves open for everybody to come get a piece. Where with ADOS, it stops. So if anybody out there is tired of that, you need to be in the movement of ADOS. We got Triangle ADOS, we got Rocky Mount ADOS, we got Twin City ADOS, we got Triangle ADOS. Be part of this movement. We ain't with that everybody talk. We ain't got nothing against nobody, but we understand what's going on. And we must move how we need to move for our own survival. We got so the title of the show, The Dead Body, Economic Genocide, and Who Made the Collard Green. Tonight I'm gonna connect the dots to how we can live amongst so much chaos day in and day out. We live amongst chaos. We fighting bills. We fighting the IRS. We dealing with all kind of things. Yet we stay ready to party, and we always stay ready to turn our back on what really needs to happen. We like a very unserious group a lot of times. So I've been popping in and out of rooms on Clubhouse, and I've been doing it for purposes of seeing how, with people saying they moving and they activists for the cause, and I find a lot of times it's a lot of unserious moments, and I think we forget that this is social media. I think we forget that you behind that handle that you see a person's picture or logo, you don't really know who that person is behind it. I think we need to realize when you own these live spaces, when you own these social media sites, it could be anybody listening. It could be a person that you could change their imagery of what they see you as. It could be a moment you could change someone, and you could blow that moment because you choosing to take that moment and clown and joke when you are supposed to be the very one that know how serious our issue and problem is. So I would say to all ADOS people out there, be wary of that. Stay on your square. Stay serious. We listen, these spaces where we in, we got to set the standard. And by setting that standard, you got to understand the seriousness of what your people dealing with. I don't see one thing funny about economic genocide. I don't see nothing funny about the stacking of dead ADOS people bodies. I don't see nothing funny about it. This is a serious time. And we must become a serious group, because you need a serious group when there's serious problems that lies in front of you. If you're going to stay a group that's going to clown, people are going to deal with you as clowns. They're going to say, oh, just blow them off. Listen, trust me, they'll be laughing them off. Matter of fact, I give them 30 minutes, they'll be laughing. What I'm saying is, let's see, can we be serious? When you're around ADOS black people at these funerals or anywhere, just observe how they do things, how fast it turns into nonchalant about the situation at hand. That's a mental problem. If someone just, I don't care if it's black on black crime, police kill somebody black, we need to be on our square, because it could be one of us next. That's how severe it is. You got police talking about lynching black folks, and we laughing. Me personally, I see nothing funny. I understand that I'm a soldier in a war. And this war I'm in is for the future of my kids, for my own future. Right now, as I sit here and talk with you, I could be fighting to save my own life and not even know it. Dude, how many of you sit down and when you in these spaces think about it could be you? Or are you so blind by you being in your own bubble and continually to tell yourself, oh, I still got this. Oh, I'm privileged. Oh, I've heard so many wild statements from people that have been locked out financially, trying to disillusion themselves to, I'm not locked out. I'm the privileged one. You know, I am the unicorn. If you feel you the unicorn, you may not have on the right boots to get in the depth of the mud that ADOS is dealing with. That's what I tell you. You might not have on the right pair of boots for what you finna step into. So meaning you might not be equipped for this fight. So I prefer you to sit back and get more real people in space. As Brian has said here, a subconscious form of escape. Oh man, that's spot on. That's that's what we do. We try to escape this thing. But I always say you cannot fix a problem by trying to act as if the problem don't exist. Some people say they have to laugh, not to cry. But why are some of these fools dancing and twerking? Oh my God. You and Brian and Johnny is right, man. We listen. I'd rather see you cry when it's time to cry than to laugh when it's time to cry. Because at least it tells me then you're aware of the situation at hand. See? And if you cry, maybe it sparks something in you that equips you for the long haul of the fight. For the long haul of the fight. Because the long haul of the fight is what it's going to take for us to receive victory. So we need more serious people. We need soldiers that understand this is a war. And because you don't see tanks, you don't see hand grenades, you don't see rocket launchers, and you don't see battleships, it's the same kind. It's a different war, but it's still a war, all the same. Because if it's dead bodies stacking up, them dead bodies stacking up for some reason. If it's imprisonment happening, it's happening for some reason. So I advise all to get more serious. Stop all the playing. These agents ain't playing, they getting things done. So is all these other groups. We are the only group not getting nothing done. So stop telling me how smart you is. I don't want to hear how smart you is until I see things start to change for my people. Are you smart enough to get that done? Can anybody be smart enough to get that done? Is it anybody willing to stay in those trenches long enough to get that done? And I don't care if you went to college or just got a GED or don't even have a GED. Can you get serious enough to be about your people on every day? Every time you stand on your square, you stand on your square for your people at some point. Instead of not teaching, are you willing to teach, to take the chance to teach somebody? Are you willing to sit down and listen for a moment to learn something you didn't know yesterday if it would benefit your people? So that's what we want to do here. So I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna start reading some of this article. It says it's from the Washington Post. So I had to print it off. Um, but if you want to go back and read this article, you can. I'm gonna just kind of jump through it and touch on some things to show you how, once again, our mental state still comes in and to try to tie the connection between uh a father and his daughter. So this article is about Malcolm X's daughter. It says Malcolm X's daughter. The article is called "It's Time to Pull the Knife All the Way Out." You remember Malcolm X talked about the knife being in the back, how you can conflict the wound a lot easier than you can heal that wound. So this article is called "It's Time to Pull the Knife All the Way Out." Yes, stand up for all of our people, not just ones with degrees or a little money. Man, that's that's exactly right. Stand up for the one that you walk by that might be stinking because he homeless. or the one that's got his pants hanging off his butt and he disgusts you because he walking around like that. Just know that he didn't get to that point on his own. Because if we are supposed to be the ones that's supposed to be the most intelligent, we're supposed to already know how he got to the point. Like Brian said, book smarts are ineffective if you're not coupled with common sense. That's man. I tell people this all the time. I also heard on in one of these rooms where a woman made a statement. I just want my people to get the look, have a more broader view of the world. So she said she think we need to start looking at the Chinese, looking at the Asians, and I just touched on her and said, listen, my daddy couldn't read and write. I'm not ashamed about that. They forced my dad into sharecropping. And another thing we need to understand, right? It's nothing to be ashamed about what happened to your ancestors because it's happening to us too. Me, you, and all these educated or uneducated, it's happening to us too. They was at the mercy of these people, and so are we. Plain and simple. As L. Willis said here, take more patience than most people have. Me, I was talking with somebody the other night. He brought up a very, very, very beautiful point. How being at the mercy of these people haven't changed, of this white institution, systematic oppression that our ancestors dealt with, my mom, my dad, my grandma dealt with, yours dealt with. We are still in that same space of being under that same mercy. Okay, I bring from then to now. Back then, a man worked on the farm for white people, sharecropping as my daddy. But when they worked on that farm, they also lived in the house that also was on that farm for the man they sharecropped for. Now, understand this. When that man stayed in that house, if he wanted that woman in that house, he could have her. That man had no power to stop him. If he stopped him and he kicked him off the farm, right? Because he beat him down if he didn't get killed when he did it. If he didn't get killed. But let's say he lived. And he kicked him. You got to go. You got to get off my land. You see? When he left off his land, he went over to another county and tried to live. What you will find out is they knew each other. They'll say, "Oh, William, well, I heard what happened over there with Hotman, what you did over there. You can't. We don't want that over here." To show you how they still do that today, you got an iPhone, Android. It don't matter what phone it is. Let me show you how you still today, while y'all hollering you educated and all the rest and all the above, you got to be in line just like they would. When he do it, you got to shut your mouth, keep pushing. What I mean, that phone you got, the Android, iPhone, don't matter. It don't matter what phone. You don't pay the bill with AT&T. You like, I ain't paying the bill. They ain't give me no good service, crappy service. I'm going to go over here to Verizon. Verizon going to say, I see you owe AT&T. You're going to have to fix that bill over there. You see? You're still at the mercy. Just because they changed the way it looked to be at the mercy, don't make it no different to be at the mercy. When it comes to jobs, you go over and you leave one job, run to another one. They know who you work for last. Y'all know what you do. You try to make sure you don't tell them nothing. And you try to use the referrals that you know you was good at. That's being at the mercy. That's being at the mercy. It's the same thing all the time. Oh, and definitely this is true. Poor Asians don't come here. When they pick these Asians from these other countries, they pick the best of the best. They pick most of the time the Brahmin, which is at the top of that pyramid when you talk about a caste system. The Brahmin Indian being at the top. So when we start to see this thing for what it is, you can better fight. You can better equip yourself to fight. So now you're still working for white, simply in a corporation, still tethered to the bottom. Yes, Brian is right. Still tethered to the bottom. While you trying to disillusion yourself that you and my daddy on that sharecropping farm somehow is different because you put on some nice clothes and go in. You wear a pair of nice heels and go in. You put on a nice pair of Jordans and go in. But my daddy had holes in his pants. Shoes had holes in them. Somehow you disillusion y'all ain't doing the same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. You in the exact same position. You could be hired and fired. My dad could be hired and fired. I'm just telling you. Don't disillusion yourself. See the truth. So we're gonna jump in this article now. I'm once again it's called if you want to get on the Washington Post, it's called It's Time to Pull the Knife All the Way Out. The article started out saying if Malcolm X had lived, perhaps last summer protests for racial justice wouldn't have been necessary, his daughter Shabazz says. For one, Black Americans might have already won the equality he or others were fighting for as part of a civil rights movements of the 1960s. I don't think that we should still be marching, protesting, demonstrating for the same thing that we were marching for 55, 56 years ago when my father was alive, Shabazz says. He was a result orientated person. Now, right there, when she made this statement that we shouldn't still be marching 56 years later, remember that part. Because she's saying if her dad was still alive, he was about change. He was about making change happen. But they cut him down. They cut him down. You see, they cut Malcolm X down. You see? So she's saying if he was still alive, we wouldn't still be marching. Let's read further into the article. But had the civil rights leader who was assassinated in New York City on February 21st, 1965, at the age of 39, been alive to witness the demonstration, he might have been struck by the diversity of the protesters, she says. So we got to touch on this here. Because see, she's talking about the diversity of the protests. So what she is just exposed to me very early in this article, that she don't see the con being pulled. Because she don't know that a lot of those white people she see in those crowds are the very reason those ADOS people are being over policed. Because they go to those town hall meetings and say, I don't want these Negroes in my community. And I need them over police. Keep them out of my community. See, she don't understand that. And the next thing, she don't understand that I would say even her dad understand. Because her dad made the statement that he didn't want. He had got approached one time about, I forgot what college it was, but one of the college he went to, a young white girl walked up to him and asked how could she help. And Malcolm told him, you can't, just stay away. Because Malcolm believed that when white people came to help us, it weakened our fight. Because what we would mentally tell ourselves was, all of them are not like that. How many people out there talk to black people on a daily basis, ADOS people on a daily basis, and the first thing out of their mouth is to tell you, all white people ain't like that. See, Malcolm knew that then. So how is his daughter sitting here and don't understand it right now? So when we sit and talk about the trickery can work on anybody. If you ain't thinking, if you ain't became a critical thinker, if you just following the lead of what they're pouring out, the diversity isn't important. As A.L. Willis say, the diversity isn't important. It's the resorts that are important. Man, hammer on nail. That's hammer on nail. See, what A.L. Will said is very right. It ain't about diversity, because that don't get the results. The results is what's important. What good does it me to look around and see all these different races in the march with me while I'm still not getting justice? It didn't do nothing. It didn't do nothing. So let's see. Malcolm X, a minister and an activist who supported for the Black Power movement and ideal for racist pride, justice, and freedom by any means necessary, often made him a foul to a Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., would have looked at a multiracial coalition of protesters as a fulfillment of his vision. Now, yeah, and they have black friends. um, now, now we looking at this thing here. We see right away that they bring up about Malcolm, the difference between Malcolm and Martin. And some would say that what we looking at right now today would be Martin Luther King fulfillment. But that ain't getting us policies. See, understand, it does no good to have more diversity races protesting with you, right? If they don't show up at that ballot box and vote for policies that help you. See, the real power is what we can transform into policies, not whether you throw the rock in the protest. Because you can throw a rock in the protest and come over here to the ballot box, and when it's time to do policies for me, and cut my head off at the same time. See, a lot of people don't know that. Because a lot of us, our black people, don't understand the effect of policies. See, policies are things that do all the hindering. It's worse than a bullet a lot of times. See, it leads to the over policing of a lot of people and don't nobody talk about it. So if we notice is what's happening, we got to say, "Oh, I don't need you here. I need you over here." And what I need you to do is through policies. Can you do that? Will you stand up with me on that? And that's where you will find pushback come in at. And you'll be confused because you would be thinking, hey, they were just standing with me on the protest. Why they ain't standing up for me for reparations? See? I always try to get people to understand you got to know the right conversation to have with a racist. Because if you have the wrong conversation, you'll be thinking they're not one because you don't know the right conversation to have. As Brian said, diversity and inclusion has been the number one enemy against tangible for ADOS individuals. The melting pot of our justice. It's you right on. Once again, Brian is right on. That these terms have undermined our justice claim multiple for generations of us trying to get what we need. Because that melting pot, you get lost in the sauce, as they want to say sometimes. You get lost in the sauce. And what ADOS is coming to do is make sure we know exactly the ingredients that we put in that stew. Or you want to call them collard greens. So we come here and see they recognize, I'm reading from the article again. They recognize that black power is not exclusive. It's simple, says that we are part of a human family, said Sabaz 59. I can't. Wow, we part of a human family. But America was built on race. How can Miss Sabaz not understand that America was built on race? See, we can't go to talking about a human race when you live in a country that has been built on race. Once again, Mr. Bass, Malcolm X's daughter, is acting as it's about this being human. I think the apple may have fell a little too far from the tree. Where was that diversity when Martin Luther King said he's going to D.C. to get our checks? Exactly. When Martin Luther King made this statement, he was talking about for the descendants of slavery. He wasn't talking about for everybody. He was talking for one specific group, and that was the ADOS group, the descendants of slavery, American descendants of slavery, is who he was talking about. That's who he was fighting for. Pacific. And I think Mr. Bass forgot that part. On Wednesday, the Malcolm X and Dr. Shabazz Memorial Education Center in New York will host an event to honor what would be leader's 96th birthday? The leader 96th birthday. It will be live stream on Facebook on Facebook at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll include appearance from Lauryn Hill, Anthony Hamilton. Once again, here's the circus coming out again. The circus is coming out again. We talk about it all the time. They bringing the entertainers out. They gonna entertain us. They gonna entertain us. The circus is coming out. Get the circus out. We don't want these black folks to be in pain. We don't want them to start thinking about all they dealing with. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna bring the circus out. Let's entertain them. Let's entertain them. Get them entertained. Make them forget about what they dealing with. Make them forget about what we dealing with. And that's another social engineering weapon that they do to us all the time. To make you forget what's happening, we're going to bring some entertainers out. We're going to get you to dancing. Once again, we're going to bring them collard greens. We're going to have the collard greens for you. Because we got to entertain y'all. We got to entertain y'all to keep y'all from understanding what kind of pain y'all dealing with. And while we entertain, we're going to touch some emotion. We're going to sing a couple gospels. We're going to get a couple gospels out there now. No, we're going to get a couple gospels out there. You best believe that we're going to get a couple gospels out there for you. So, because we can touch that emotion. You see what I'm saying? So, and then about the U.S. spoke with Sebastian, one of Malcolm X's 6 daughters, and the author professor of co-chair of the center about her father's legacy. Your father will have turned 96 this week. How might things be different today hadn't he not been assassinated instead of lived to continue? A quote that really great that I use often that he said is, if you stick in, she bring about, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, the knife is still in my back. We have to pull the knife all the way out, address the wound that was blown. We'll say is as people even today merely focus on I have a dream speech. That's exactly what they do. They stick to this speech, not speaking of the speech when he talked about the 2 different countries that separates us. Nobody wants to talk about that speech. You see, they want to stick with this I have a dream speech. They don't want you to know that Martin Luther King started to change what his provision was. He actually did an interview, and in that interview, he even spoke about that he wasn't so hopeful about going up the mountaintop neither. A lot of times they don't talk about that neither. They try to use this I have a dream speech because they want you to just keep you sleep baiting. Celebrities are only good for putting us to sleep. That's exactly right. Leroy said it. Don't forget that food truck. That food truck will be there. That food truck will be there. So it's a reason we see this pattern all of the time when it's associated with us. This pattern is for a reason. As in the chat someone said, it's to put us to sleep. Let's bring the church flow to enhance the masses. That's exactly what they want to do. Because once they grab that emotion, they got you. The shouting start, the talking in tongues start, and everything else is lost. Everything is lost. I wonder why the United States military don't move that way. Why do a lot of these people that in these spaces, some of them been in the military. They don't operate like that in the military when there's a war going on. They give them the weapons they need for to do the job. It's got to be done. And it ain't an emotional one when they do it. I'm back in the article. What do you think he would have thought about Black Lives Matter and the racial justice movement sparked by George Floyd's death last year? I think that he would be proud of our young people. Oh, let me keep reading. These are issues, visions, and concerns that he raised 50 plus years ago. And so I think it's important for us to come together and keep fighting for justice in Malcolm's name. He said it would be this generation of young leaders that would recognize that this generation of young leaders. I guess you're gonna skip over my generation then, cause your dad would have been 96. So you saying he skipped over my generation? Oh, he skipped over the generation before me too, cause you do realize it's been some more generations since your dad. So I'm just saying now. Malcolm X's name, he said, would be this generation young leaders would recognize and demand change, have capacity to recognize one humanity not from a black or white perspective, but from a right and wrong perspective, and that they would be willing to roll up their sleeves, doing the necessary work to bring about change. And I think this is what we saw this past summer while we were all at home quarantined, not knowing what COVID-19 even was, questioning our own mortality, being forced to witness this horrific killing of George Floyd. It was our young people who organized through social media and had people of every ethnic, every nationality, everything that you can possibly imagine. The human family comes together in 50 states in this country, in 18 countries abroad, proclaiming Black Lives Matter. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I keep getting people to try to pay attention to. She don't even understand that Black Lives Matter. It's got black in it, but it's nothing for black. They use ADOS black men dead bodies to lift themselves for their own hidden agenda that lies in transgender, in the queer agenda. Nothing against that. Just come out and say that's what you're fighting for. See, don't even put black in it. Just say you dealing with the LBGQ. That's who you're fighting for. Don't even put black in it. But she don't even know enough to know that they use the word black just to lift their own interests. See? So that's what I mean when I say people got to stay engaged with what's going on. Because if you falling for the okie doke, how can you come out and speak now? And you falling for the okie doke. So over the last year, there has been much controversy over effort to boarding school circumstances, including roadblocks and other non-white people play in the nation's history, while several states going so far to ban teaching critical racist theory. What do you think is behind these fights? Our education needs to be restructured. Um, the indigenous people of color, Latinos, and even Asian history is accidental. I think these look the article. I'm trying to read the article. This article just shows how far people can be from what's actually happening, detached from what's actually happening. That when I talk about social engineering, you got to know how powerful that social engineering is, because here we witnessing how well this social engineering working. That even the daughter of Malcolm X don't even understand all the things that are going on beyond what she can see. She just accepting what she see. She don't want to pick up the carpet to see all the dirt under there. Because if you pick up the carpet, you got to see that dirt under there. Somebody been sweeping dirt under the carpet. Eventually, the carpet get a knot in it, and you start to step on it, and you know something ain't right there. Let me see what it is. See, King felt that he led his people into a burning house of desegregation. Exactly. Those was his own word. That's what he said he felt he had done. You see? Because once again, King lived long enough to even critique himself. And now we listen to Miss Sebastian, which obviously ain't critiquing anything. She just regurgitating things. See? She ain't critique. She giving us this watered down speech with no critiques because she has not paid attention to the way things are moving, the way policies are moving, how they still hinder ADOS people. She ain't paying attention to the data. You see, Black Lives Matter also took money from corporations that hired ADOS at a lower rate than national average. See, she don't know this though. See, how do you speak for me when you no longer a part of me? See, once you ain't a part of your group, you split off from your group, and you can tell it when people talk. You can tell it by the words they say when they talk. Um, it's almost always to compare one generation with another, despite the unchanging systematic racism and white supremacy that continues from the pre-1950s and 60s even now. And I think the challenges that those protesters faced in the 60s are certainly still with us today and remain barriers that we're struggling to overcome. See, right here she shows her disconnect from what happened then to now. See, those protesters knew who they was at the time, though, and who they wasn't. The difference is now our people don't know who they are because we stopped teaching it in the home. We stopped educating our kids on who they was. We kind of folded them into get along with everybody's theory. Just get along with everybody. Things will go better. Instead of educating them, and that ain't going to work. Even when you get along, people will still, these other groups will still find a way to use you for their own benefit. We see that all the time. Once again, every generation of ADOS people get turned into the muse again. Every generation of ADOS people get turned into the muse again. This is what we must step away from. This is what we must change. And we started with our kids and ourselves. I said it early in the show. If we can't see that those Asians did not turn around and say, I don't want anything unless all people of color receive it. See, they ain't did that. You ain't gonna see them doing that on no platform. You ain't gonna see them doing that nowhere. Nowhere are you gonna see them doing it. But everywhere we are, you see us doing it. So if we can't understand, that ain't how you fix things, because it ain't work. And the guy asked her this. He say, tell us something about your father that will surprise people. This is what she say. If injustice didn't exist, my father would likely be in a library reading lots and lots of books. He loved nature. We grew up with his butterfly collection. We grew up with his poetry that he would write to my mother or his reflection. When my father married his wife, as much as he loved New York, he brought her to his home state of Michigan, and they married there. His family was very important to him. When he was in jail, he read the dictionary. He see most of us understand from some of this stuff is right in the movie when you read the movie. Me personally, I was looking for something more sincere about her father. You see, I think most of the time, even in my household, a lot of times I witness it with my dad. A lot of time, the male in the household, a lot of time taken for granted. He becomes that picture of support, basically, almost like being a beam. Just that's how people see him in the household. A lot of times, he don't get the same attention as mother get, but a lot of time, we don't care about that. With us, most of the time, we just want something that I teach my child to be passed on, and that child will hold on to it. As Brian said, no other group follows that of getting along. That's a recipe being wiped off the monopoly board. This, Brian is right. It's a scandal. I mean, we it now. I'm glad Brian brought it up because that's something I was thinking about today. Monopoly and the board. Why is it that when we approach people about right now, you see in this article, I don't read the whole, it's one little piece here, but another thing I wanted to point out from our article, she never talks about reparation or the redistribution of wealth. She never brings it up at all. She never bring up one single policy that will help the ADOS people neither. She gives this kind of interview of a just a spectacular thought. You know what I'm saying? Not reinforcing nothing that needs to be done to make people whole. And when Brian talk about this monopoly board, and you go to somebody like her or people in your family, and you say, listen, reparations is a debt owed. A debt owed. A lot of times you get this response. Money don't fix everything. Even in this game, Monopoly, can anybody throw in the chat, what's the first thing that's got to happen for you to be able to participate in Monopoly? Can anybody put it in the chat? See, we got to understand when we hear that it's a lot of us running around with a lot of mental conditions, and we don't even know we got it. Because even in the game of Monopoly, it's something that's got to happen out the gate before you can ever even participate in the game. And yet, the first thing got to happen, everybody get $1,500. If your group, in the name of my show, Economic Genocide, we are experiencing economic genocide, wealth-wise. The banker, that's right, the banker, the money, yeah, that's right. You got to get that money first. That's in the game of Monopoly. And it's people that sit down and play Monopoly and don't even conserve enough to understand the first thing happen, you get money. You see, that's the first thing happen. And the first thing happen when you got a mental condition, you'll come out your mouth and say money don't fix everything. Well, you can't even begin to play the game without the money. Even in real life, you can't start to participate in real life without the money. You can't go to people and talk about investing. You can't go to people and talk about investing money they don't got. Antonio Moore posted something today on tweet about that people doing this cryptocurrency, ADOS people that's doing it. They ain't doing it as an investment. They doing it for survival. It's not the same. It's not the same. Reparation is redemption. We got to understand something here, man. You see, when I keep telling people you got to connect the dots to our situation, it's people that's walking around and consider themselves very well educated, and yet they can't go to the basic understanding of where their education started from. Your education comes from your oppressor. Your oppressor controls that college that you was in. The government gives that college money and it tells those professors what they're going to teach, what they're going to talk about, and what they're not going to talk about. They haven't taught you how to save your group. That ain't the plan of it. The plan is to make you self-interested for yourself. That's the plan of it. That's why so many people come out of college and to show you the connection between prison and college. How you still got a connection. Because in prison, it's the same lesson being taught. Don't worry about nobody else. Worry about yourself. Even when getting out of prison, you will have people telling you, man, don't even look back at this place. Don't think about nobody here. Worry about yourself. See, the lesson being taught on both ends to separate. Nobody using just basic common sense saying, if we all go for self, if I take my 5 hands right now and spread them like this, and somebody push against, and it's a lot easier to break them in order if I did them like this, if I make a fist, and it's a lot harder to break my fingers that way. But it takes all of them to come together to be strong. So we teaching the wrong education. Hey, that's a good book. that Brian talking about exactly make me think of the book, The Miseducation of the Negro. This is so true. We don't draw the lines in these things because we so quick. We want to stroke our own egos so quick with any gain we had from out of prison. Let's say somebody got out of prison. They buy them a dump truck. They get them a little single wide truck. They feel like they doing it. Most of them don't understand that's the first move most guys make when they get out of prison because they got a record. They go to try to get dump trucks and drive some because you can get a job with a record and still be able to get a job doing that. You ain't making that decision on your own. You actually being forced to make that decision because you got a criminal history. So you got to look for something that make decent money that'll hire you. You see? But we don't tell ourselves that. We actually tell ourselves something else. We tell ourselves, I'm thinking for myself, I'm trying to grind. As somebody pointed out, I remember listening to somebody say, when you hear them say, get your money, black man. What do that mean? Get your money, black man. What do that mean? See, people say they make up these phrases. Yet if you ask what do that mean, they'll tell you, oh, get your money. So if I go out and sell dope, I go out and sell crack. The police bust me. You would be the same person. Oh, he shouldn't have been selling crack. But you said get your money, black man. You didn't say how to get your money. You said get your money, black man. See, people ain't calling out this miseducation that's happening like a lot of times in a lot of places. And a lot of times it happens from people with what we want to have respect for and look up to, like the Jay-Z's and the Oprahs and the Tyler Perry's. This miseducation comes from these social engineer Negroes, is what I want to call them, because that's all they are. They don't know anything. Understand, having a lot of money in your pocket don't make you understand what your people are facing or dealing with. It don't make you the one that know what to do to help them. The truth is, you could be very well being used to destroy them and to disillusion them from truth. And you wouldn't even know it. Because if you to love something, you got to love it enough to go outside of your comfort zone and say, I don't understand it. And I would love to understand it and know more so that I could really be beneficial to my people. But if you ain't willing to do that, just say you don't care about it, because that's the truth. It says, the end of this article says, what gives you hope for the future of this country? These young humanitarians are driving our nation toward a more civilized state. Our society has an opportunity to truly move forward. Bigotry and all this ugly hate is losing, and a new era has yet to define itself. I think that the lesson that young people glance is the cheaper loss, more character wins. Cheaters lose, more characters win. And as long as we continue to guide them and encourage them, we can accomplish our goal. So that was the end of the article. I don't know where she getting that from, and cause don't no data support that what she's saying. Don't know history support it. Don't know policy support it. I would say that Mr. Bass, go see some data. Know that in California, the ADOS household is worth $200 liquid, and the Nigerian household is worth $60,000. We are economic genocide going on, and she says she see a brighter future. This all, and she's saying it all from symbolism. So we got Malcolm X's daughter that's being tricked by symbolism too. We got to be able to see that these people get they get these in these spaces and they get tagged as this iconic person, but haven't put in the work to even be stamped as that. Do the work. Do the work. If you're doing the work, you would know this stuff you saying ain't true. So we're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back after break. Um, we'll take calls. We'll take Q&A in the chat. Anybody got some questions they want to talk about? Anybody got something they want to know more about? They want to throw in the chat that they want to make a comment on? We can talk about anything, you know. So, and as Johnny says right here, sounds like she believes self discrimination can make ADOS whole. Determination, that's right. Hey, that's another thing that we've been sold on too, as if once again the bootstrapping comes right back again. It's like people take that term bootstrapping and remake it all the time. Yep, they keep right on remaking it. We move towards the limited choices that we've been herded to, and then think it's a form of bootstrapping. That's exactly what's happening. This is true too. We are right. We got to know, just because these people are the daughters, the sons of great icons, that ADOS even critique our greatest icons, because that is being a critical thinker. We live in the era that Malcolm couldn't see. We live in it. That's how we able to critique him. 50 years from now, somebody will watch this video and will critique me, because they will live in an era that I may not see. But I can tell you right now that this video will seem like the future because of the way that ADOS is thinking and the way ADOS is moving. It would be like a James Brown CD. You see? See, a lot of people say James Brown was the first rapper. He saw into the future of music. ADOS is seeing into the future of being American descendants of slavery with our way we thinking and how we being Pacific in how we move. It's going to be on our kids to inherit this, on us to teach them this, and to separate from the ones that want to undermine. We can't be scared to put them on the front line for the battle that lies ahead of us, because they must be in this battle with us. This is the call-in number. We're going to take a break. If anybody want to call in, you can call in at that number, 351-888-6356. Right after the break, we're going to take some calls. All right, I'll be right back after this break. We back. Um, something that during the break I thought about too was um we spoke the other day. We were speaking about the Juneteenth flag, and we started doing a little research on it. Found out that that they even got the Juneteenth flag under there. That you can't use that flag unless they allow you. It ain't even with black folks. White people got it. You know what I'm saying? It's something when you start to dig into some of these things you dig into. Um, yes, the survivor speak before Congress hearing will move reparations from the federal government or just he's in the state of Oklahoma. Yes or no? I, I I listened to that, and you know what? That when she that this what Leroy L. Willie is talking about here is so one of the Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they destroyed that Black Wall Street, she spoke to Congress, and when she spoke to Congress, she said how she could still smell the smoke, she could still see the dead bodies, even if America can't. She can still see and smell and see those dead bodies. And as the question here is, Hearn will move reparations from the federal government or just hey, this that's could be tricky. It could end up being just Oklahoma end up the state getting reparations. Because we know these people try to use anything to pivot. When we can pull up maps to show all the massacres that happen all over this state to black people. In Wilmington, North Carolina, a massacre happened there. Once again, Black Wall Street. Durham, North Carolina. All over this country, these massacres has happened. Um, I'm willing to say it may happen. It may happen for I would hope people in Oklahoma that we may have some ADOS down there that will say no, it just can't be here. That hopefully we will have somebody down there that'll push back if they try to just turn it into just Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where that massacre happened. But I did listen to that speech, and the lady that spoke did speak very in detail in graphic. She remembers it very clearly. It's things like that that bothers me when we won't become a serious group. This lady being at the age she at and the way she spoke on that moment because she lived through it, and how we could turn around and be laughing and think everything is so funny. In order to get this reparation to happen in this black agenda, we gonna have to be a way more serious group with a very serious conversation. And we're gonna have to be aware of the spaces that we're in. So that's what I'll say about that question. That is a good question. I actually, when I watched that video, soon as it started playing, the first thing popped in my mind was Oklahoma gonna mess around and get reparations, and we still ain't gonna be in there. You know, so L. Willie, I feel you because I thought that same thing when I saw it. I so that was a good question. Um, we the if you ain't seen that video, I advise you to look at it though, and I advise you to look at her face, the seriousness of it. Listen to her voice, the seriousness of it. She won't laugh. It won't nothing to laugh about. It was a serious moment, just as serious as the moment we living in. We must be able. We must be able to do that. It may turn into another Evereston reparation program, which is honorable with a trick bag. That was terrible what they doing. It's almost like in Evereston, Illinois. It's kind of like a lottery drawing. They calling it a reparation. That you don't even got to be American. You ain't even got to be American descendant of slave. Anybody can get it, and they calling it reparation. And it's only a few handful of people that's even can even get it then. It's a lot of I didn't never get to read it, but High Point, North Carolina is talking about reparations too now. I ain't read the article yet. I saw it pop up. I ain't never get a chance to read. I had too much going on today. But High Point, North Carolina is talking about reparation too. Um, yeah, Adolf's men fought in World War II. Yeah, they fought in that war and yet got denied the GI Bill at the same time. We we forget that the truth is that Adolf's people are some of the most loyal citizens the country even have. Let's be clear. We the only group here that ain't pulled treason on our country. It's white people here. The Civil War was white people pulling treason on their own country. Yet they walk around and act as if they love the country better than we do. It's these things show you how. And another thing that I say that Adolf and black people, one thing we got to stop doing is letting other groups come here and try to tell us how to feel about our own country. I see that a lot. Try to tell us, oh, you identify with your oppressor because you call yourself American descendant of slavery. This is my country. Like, get it out of your fame. This is my country. And the question you need to ask yourself, since this country's so bad, why are you here? Why are you here? See, my people built this country. But you here looking for the benefits that my people done made while at the same time trying to belittle me when I built this opportunity for you. So I don't need to hear nothing from no Pan-African. I don't need to hear nothing from no immigrant telling me that I can't call myself American. But you took the oath. You took the oath you took the oath for America. And at the same time trying to tell me not to be American. That's like telling me, I know that's your house, but just run out there and leave. It's mine now. Come on. Where did this stuff makes no sense? These people are taking oath, doing everything, swimming on little leaves to get over here, but come over here and tell us we need to be trying to leave. Telling us we don't need to be calling ourselves American, but you calling yourself American. And L. Willie got it right. We got some runners. I call them the runners. See, the runners come over here trying to tell us who we can't be. Well, I hate to tell you, runner, you can go back home because ADOS is staking claim here, baby. And we ain't going nowhere. We ain't running nowhere. We built this, and we're gonna be right here. It especially coming from black immigrants that left their black country to come to America. You get it all the time from them. See, you left your black country to come here, and then you trying to tell me not to call myself American. But why you leave your black country? Oh, I know why. The opportunity. The land of the honey. The land of the honey. You came here for the land of the honey. Say it. Some immigrants look down on us like they're the best thing since sliced bread. How come you didn't make your home country the next one? Hey, it's my exact word. Why didn't you do that? Why you ain't stand flat-footed in your country and fight to make it what it needed to be? You didn't do that. So don't come here telling me what I can and can't do. I'm ADOS, like it or not. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm still it. So that's the thing we deal with in this country, because for so long we have been so open arms to so many people. Tell me this. I want to ask people in the chat, and you can give me your comment in the chat. It's something else been on my mind. I've been paying. It's two things that I've been kind of paying attention to and just trying to get. I just want to know what other people's opinion of it is. The UFO sightings. Is these people trying to disillusion us and sidetrack us again with something else? That's the first thing. What y'all think about it? The second thing, these for hiring signs popping up all over the place where nobody ain't been hiring at before, but now all of a sudden everybody hiring. Do you think this is something to undermine the federal unemployment here in North Carolina? Now, I know in other states they done cut off the federal unemployment because a lot of the business owners try to put out, they can't get nobody to go to work. So, do you feel that's what they trying to do here in North Carolina? See, I feel that's what they trying to do here. I feel they trying to put up all these hiring signs and trying to say we hiring to try to get the government to pull the federal unemployment. And I also feel like they working up something else with this alien thing, because in a speech that Joe Biden gave one time, Joe Biden said it out of his own mouth. If we didn't have an Israel, we would have to create an Israel. Is this a twisted way of trying to create an ultimate enemy that once again undermine what ADOS is doing? That now they want to pay all this attention to UFOs. Now, in one of the videos, in several videos I've seen, it's never a clear picture. Even though on my little phone, I can shoot a picture so clear on this little phone. My little camera on my phone can shoot a crystal clear picture. But they flying in $1 billion jet, and the picture it shoot is crappy. Anybody ever wonder about that jet cost $1 billion to make, and it's got that crappy camera on it? Is it me? Is it me that, hold up, how is that picture so crappy? This phone shoot a better picture and it didn't cost $1 billion. How does that $1 billion jet got a camera that crappy? I always question when people say there's UFO and it's always a crappy picture. I just don't understand. Almost like seeing Bigfoot. I just want to touch on that. I always try to wonder what is their angle they trying to pull when they doing these things. They once again taking the money that's owed to ADOS and just throwing it away into the most ridiculous things. You owe us trillions of dollars. It's time to pay that bill. As some would say, it's time to cut that check. It's time to stop trying to navigate away from this conversation. There's time to be had. It's time to stop trying to put black people in these spaces that ain't willing to have the right conversation, that just think reparation is where you say, oh, we sorry for about what we did. Nobody on this call or in this world can use an apology to pay a bill. And if an apology don't pay bills, unless you're going to make it where apologies pay bills for now on out, hey, Brian, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. That's exactly what it does. So if don't tell me that reparation is just an apology. Unless I can take that same apology that you used to try to pay me with, I can pay my rent with it. I can pay my mortgage with it. I can pay my truck off with it, my car. If I can't use that apology as some financial gain, reparation ain't no apology. It comes with an apology, but it definitely comes with a cash payment. So we're at the end of the show. I'm glad everybody joined in. I appreciate everybody that was here, everybody that chimed in the chat, everybody that participated. As always, I want to always try to leave my people with something motivational. One of the things I like to say is, and I want everybody to remember, a soldier's first battlefield is your own mind. A soldier's first battlefield is your own mind. So that's what we do here at Breaking the Chain. We try to educate our people to not listen to CNN and Fox News as the answer, but to become the critical thinkers, to listen to Fox News and CNN News to see which ways these people are trying to critique what they're saying, and pay attention to know enough to know how they are moving. That's what we watch CNN News and Fox News for. So if you ain't doing that, you can't be in the circle of the critical thinkers. You are in the circle of the ones that take it in and regurgitate it out, because your conversation is stored off as people of color. And know if your conversation stored off like that, the social engineering has worked and the indoctrination has set in. So my saying to you would be, a soldier's first battlefield is our own mind. All right, people. Hey, listen to the end of the meeting, to the show. You'll find out where you can. We got a call for action going on. You can find out how you can participate. Hey, good night, fam. I want everybody to stay strong, stay focused, and keep that line moving forward. Glad I called this bro. Thank you for the insight. Anytime, Brian. Anytime. And I'm glad you joined. Hope to see you on the next ones too. All right, everybody. Good night. ADOS is out.